Good evening, everybody. It is the Safety and the Sportswriter show with Knoxville, Nate, and Big Joe as we get ready to talk to you about the world of sports. I think we lost Nate for a minute, but he should be back. We have a lot to go over tonight. We have a lot of football to get to as the football camps have opened. We have a little talking about Kyler Murray and a strange stipulation in his multi-million dollar, $100 million contract. We're going to talk about the top tier fantasy quarterbacks and some breakout stars that an article came out talking about the 10 breakout stars of the NFL, and we'll see what we agree or disagree with them. But first of all, Nate, how you doing?
Great. I'd like to start with the Kyler Murray contract. I got to know what was the Cardinals' hurry? I mean, what I don't understand why they were in such a hurry to get this deal done. The guy, I mean, give Murray credit. Whatever he did worked. Remember, he takes down his pick. He scrubs his social media of the Cardinals logo, and all of a sudden he gets $200-something million. The guy has literally done nothing in the NFL. I mean, he's shown up for the beginning of the season and looked good the first 8 games in 2 different seasons, and then completely fallen apart in the end of both those years. And now he gets $200 million. I just don't understand why not. You know, he's got 2 years left on his rookie deal. Plus, then you have the option of, tagging him twice. So literally the Cardinals could keep him under contract for 4 more seasons, including this year. And they go ahead and give him the monster deal and make him the second highest paid quarterback in the league, second or third. I don't understand what the sense of urgency was all about there. And if you have to put in a clause in the contract requiring a guy to watch film for 4 hours a week when he's making $250 million, something's wrong there. I mean, am I crazy for thinking that?
No, on so many levels, there's got to be looked at this contract and say, what? I mean, here's a guy that, first of all, you've defended him a little bit. I'm down on him, but they kick Josh Rosen to the curb to get this guy. Cliff Kingsbury comes in here and risks his whole career on Kyler Murray, and so far, like you said, he's been a mixed bag. He's a half-season player. He comes out in the paper. I guess there's a New York Times interview with him where he sits there and says, "I don't have to study. My ability will get me through." Well, that's a recipe for disaster. And like you said, with the fact of the matter, he hasn't won anything yet. And right now, we talked about this extensively. They're not going to jump over the Rams unless something catastrophic happens to the Rams this year. So, I mean, they're playing for second place anyways. And to sit there with his arrogance, and if you feel that way about him, that he's not giving you 100%, that he's not willing to do the study, do everything else, you could be just as bad without him. I mean, start over again. If this guy isn't worth the money, kick him to the curb. You kick Rosen to the curb, kick him to the curb before you give him $100 million. I am just, the way I look at sports ownership now, I really wonder how they became rich men. When these kind of guys, look, Kyler Murray, in the best case scenario, you're going to get 10 good years out of him. 10. And these guys seem so willing to hedge their bets up front before the guys win. It makes no sense to me at all.
Well, and I'm glad you brought Rosen up, because Rosen, who cares? I mean, we're not even going to get into conversation of whether he's good or not. I mean, who the hell knows? He's been on 6 teams in 5 years. But my point is, they kicked him after a season? After drafting him in 6 starts. They completely drop him off the roster. But yet after, Kyler Murray has played 2 years, they're ready to give him $200 million when he's basically done nothing. I just don't understand how in one instance you can completely get rid of someone after 6 games, but this guy, you're ready to make him the second or third highest paid quarterback in the league. And I look at, when I was just doing some research for our show, and I looked at, the passing yards leaders in the NFL, and you go down. Brady's first, Herbert's second, Stafford's third, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Kyler Murray is 14th
right
in passing yards in the NFL. And in most statistical categories, he's right around there. So he's right around middle of the pack for almost every statistical category, and yet you pay him like he's Pat Mahomes. I mean, that confuses the hell out of me. And there's a reason why the Cardinals have never won a Super Bowl. They've come close a couple times under the Bidwell family, but they've had a lot more crappy years than they've had good ones, and there's a reason for that.
And it's funny because two of the most misrun, or reputation for being the most misrun teams, the Cardinals, like you said, outside of their Kurt Warner days and outside of maybe a Jake Plummer day or two, and the Browns are now setting the bar for quarterbacks. Teams that are known for losing are setting the bar for quarterbacks, and you've got to think, with all these good young quarterbacks around, and we'll go into them in a little while over the fantasy. I mean, there's a lot of young quarterbacks that are yet to get paid. Justin Herbert and Burrow come to mind. What are they going to be worth?
Yeah, I mean, what is Lamar Jackson worth?
Yeah.
If Kyler Murray, I looked it up, he is the second highest paid player actually in the NFL right now. And Kyler Murray is now making $46.1 million per year. His contract language, basically, it's 5 years, $230.5 million. And this guy's 24 years old. He hasn't been bad. I mean, I'm not saying that he's been bad. I mean, at times he's looked pretty good out there, and he's not horrible. But let's be completely honest. When defenses have changed things up on him, have dropped, 7, 8 guys in coverage, played a zone, made him stay in the pocket and throw the football, he's looked pretty bad. And do I think that they should just dump him and move on? Maybe not. Definitely not right now. Give him another year, see what he does. Maybe 2 years. Like I said, you've got 4 years essentially to make this guy earn it. But instead of making him earn it, you make him the second highest paid player in the NFL. I don't understand that. I really don't. I'm confused by it. And, as you mentioned before, and as we talked about, putting that clause in there, which essentially makes him have to watch film for 4 hours a week, just shows you right there that they don't trust this guy much at all. And why you would give someone $230 million when you don't trust him, that's ludicrous.
Exactly. They should be doing the opposite. Like you said, wait the 4 years out and bring in a quarterback to challenge him. They're bringing Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick, at least he'll study. He'll win you a few games. Maybe he'd light a fire underneath Kyler Murray, and maybe he could teach him how to be a competitive quarterback. But I mean, it really just it like I said, it boggles the mind that these guys that are owners of these franchises are so willing to throw the money down so early on these players, knowing what we know is, a football career is tragically fragile. But also, a lot of these guys just don't turn out to be what you want them to be. I mean, maybe 20% turn into, Hall of Fame type players, 15%, maybe even less. And you're giving these guys Hall of Fame money up front. That makes no sense to me. And we all know the quarterback is the most important position. But any quarterback with any brains knows you need money to give to your offensive line. You need money to get quality wide receivers. You need money to get maybe a couple of good running backs behind you. And if you don't have that, yeah, you'll have a lot in the bank, but you'll also be in traction.
Yeah. Well, and let's just compare this for a second. I mean, Kyler Murray, makes what? I think here $7-8 million more per year than Russ. I mean, Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Russell Wilson had 149 consecutive starts before missing his first game in 2021. He's averaged 4,000 yards a year and 30 touchdowns every season. That's what he's averaged. And you're paying this guy more money than Russell Wilson? I mean, he's making more money than Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, who have proven that they can win and lead a team to the promised land. I mean, Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl as well, and he's been to 2 of them in his 4 years as a starter, and you're paying this guy more money. It really blew me away when I saw that. I mean, I don't get it. And once again, like we mentioned before, Lamar Jackson still has no contract. And I think Lamar, honestly, has been smart waiting, because if a team like the Cardinals is going to pay Kyler Murray $46.1 million, how much is Lamar worth? I mean, he's won an MVP in this league. He's taken his team to the playoffs. He's won a playoff game. He's done a hell of a lot more than Kyler Murray has.
I mean, and you bring up Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson turned an entire franchise around when he arrived in Seattle. He made them into champions, a Super Bowl winning team and and they went back to the Super Bowl. I mean, there's no comparison between what Russell Wilson did for Seattle and what Murray's yet to do for Arizona.
Yeah, so true. And it's not like the Cardinals haven't provided weapons around Kyler Murray. I mean, they had a really good 1-2 punch at running back last year with Edmonds and also the guy from Pittsburgh who came over in midseason, the dude from Pittsburgh who overcame cancer. I mean, they had a good running game. They've got good receivers and DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk and several guys that can make plays. And then they got him Zach Ertz, and I mean they've given him all the tools to be successful. And for whatever reason, he's just fallen off at the end of the year, 2 seasons in a row. And instead of make him work hard and get better, they just pay the guy like he's won a Super Bowl already. And that to me is baffling.
Well, to be fair, I mean, both you and I doubt Cliff Kingsbury. So, I mean, he's got to take a little bit of the blame for the falling off part. But these two are married at the hip. Cliff Kingsbury wanted Kyler Murray. And if Cliff Kingsbury is within this administration that is admitting that this guy doesn't study hard enough and he can't get him to do it, maybe we need these coaches in the NFL to be a little bit more like the Bill Parcells of the past and the Vince Lombardis, who would make these players know you're not more important than the team. Yes, you play an important position. You're one of 53 and maybe the most important position. But if I'm not getting out of you what I need out of you, I'm going to put somebody else in there. I don't care. I'm the coach. I'll make that decision. Too many of these coaches now seem to kowtow to the quarterback and let the quarterback run the team. You can't do that. The coach has to be the man in charge. And when this came out, most of the players on the team probably knew that Kyler Murray didn't study.
Yeah.
Now that it's fact, and now it's an embarrassment to the team. What do they think about their leader? They're both their leaders.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes it even worse is that, he has, done what he's done. He's thrown for over 3,700 yards in each of his 3 seasons. He's completed over 65% of his passes. I mean, just think if the guy would watch some film and put the extra work in, what he could do. And like I said, this, this coming out with the contract clause just shows that, he needed some incentive to keep working. He needed the carrot to be dangled in front of him, but that's the last thing that's happened. I mean, first year, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Second year, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Last year, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So, he's sticking right there with double-digit interceptions every single season. And, that's not good. You should be getting better each year. Your team should be, counting on you more. And, it's not really going that direction.
No. And this week, I guess Jerry Jones came out and gave his State of the Dallas Cowboys speech and seemed to downplay the Dallas Cowboys, kind of lowered expectations, kind of building up Philadelphia as a real challenge to the Cowboys. I know you like the Eagles because of Jalen Hurts and a lot of things they've done. Do you think this is Jerry changing tactics, Jerry mellowing with age, or Jerry just being senile?
I don't know. He also apparently pissed off a group of people with an insensitive comment towards little people. I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I didn't hear that.
He called. There's a former coach that used to always be around, and he was a little bit of a smaller gentleman, and he called him a. He said, "I missed that little midget," and he pissed off a whole bunch of people using that language. So maybe it is Jerry being senile, pissing everybody off. But it could be a number of things. Could be changing tactics because expecting to win the Super Bowl every year hasn't worked since Troy Aikman was there. And to be honest, I can't really see the Cowboys being better. I mean, when I look at what they've lost and I look at what they've gained or who they've added and what has been subtracted, and this team is definitely not as good on paper. Mike McCarthy's been unimpressive as a coach, in my opinion, since he took over. I mean, they fired Jason Garrett's ass and blamed him for everything, and it seems to me kind of like McCarthy's getting somewhat of a free pass. It's like, oh, he's won a Super Bowl. We hadn't won a Super Bowl in Dallas, and they're paying these guys like they should. I mean, Zeke's making what, 20-something million a year. Amari Cooper was making $20 million a year. Dak Prescott's making $40 million a year. DeMarcus Lawrence is making $25 million a year. I mean, you're paying these guys like they're Super Bowl winners, and they're not even getting out of the first round. So I'm not really sure what to make out of it, but I kind of think he's preparing himself for what's going to happen. The good news is that they are in the NFC East, which still kind of sucks. I mean, you got your Giants, who knows what the hell we're going to get out of them.
Right.
You've got the Washington football team is what I call them still, because the Commanders sucks as a name. So I still call them the Washington football team. And I kind of am expecting them to take a step forward, except for when I realize that Carson Wentz is their quarterback, and who the hell knows what you're going to get from him. And Philadelphia, I think, will be better because I know Jalen Hurts is a winner, and I know he's a guy that'll keep working hard and will actually watch film. And then they got him, A.J. Brown. So I think he actually has someone to throw to that weighs over 160 pounds. So that should be good for the Eagles.
Yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, I'll tell you, if the Cowboys were in the NFC West, they'd be third, fourth place. I mean, they would not compete. So you're right. It's a lot about the division. And the good news is Daniel Snyder, I guess, was on Capitol Hill today being grilled about the toxic work environment in the Washington football team. So maybe somehow they'll make him sell the team and they'll get back to being competitive again. But all right, let's get into this fantasy football. We don't do a lot of fantasy football here, but let's take a look. The quarterbacks, who do you want on your fantasy team? And we'll start out with the top four. And before I bring the surprising one in, or the top four, or the top eight, I should say, but the top four: Josh Allen, number one; Lamar Jackson, number two; Patrick Mahomes, number three. There's no doubt about it. Those three are the top fantasy picks you could have. Justin Herbert. Tell me what you think about the top four. Justin Herbert's the one I think it may be a little bit of a rush here.
Yeah, Herbert's good. I like him. I think he's going to have a breakout year. He's got both of his receivers back in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. He's got the coach that goes for it on 4th and 15 from his own 10. So it's not like he's not going to, get
He'll have the opportunity.
He's going to have the opportunity to throw some passes, no matter what down it is and where they are in the field. So, that I see as being a guy that'll get some fantasy. The one thing that kind of shocked me, and we're not down to tier 2 yet, but I'm looking ahead here, and I'm looking at tier 1 and tier 2, and the guy that I see that's missing is the guy that I hate the most, Tom Brady.
Believe me, I was waiting for his spot, and I think people will be shocked by where they got him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about where he is, but my point is that he's missing from here. Love him or hate him, the guy threw for over 5,300 yards, leading the league last year, and 43 touchdowns, which also led the league. So say about him what you want. I think if you're drafting fantasy, I think this is not a bad guy to take, especially considering they're going to get Godwin back at some point. He's got Mike Evans, who's had over 1,000 yards every season, and then they signed Julio Jones yesterday or 2 days ago. Which what does Julio have left in the tank? I don't know, but he's a pretty good addition for that team, considering he's not going to have to be the number one or the number two guy. If he can come in and take some of the load off while Godwin's still recovering from injury, Brady's going to have a chance to rack up some yards. But to answer your question, I don't have a problem with any of those four guys: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. If you're drafting, a quarterback in the first round, you've got a later draft pick and you're taking a QB number one, any of those four guys I think are a good take.
All right. Tier 2, only 3 players in it. Our aforementioned Kyler Murray is number 5, which we can break down in a minute. Jalen Hurts, if with the improved wide receiving core and the improvements that Philadelphia's made on offense, I could see him being there because he's a dual threat guy. And Joey Burrow, number 7, who has appendicitis right now, but hopefully, I don't think that'll linger too long. So, what do you think about those 3?
I would take Joe Burrow ahead of either of those guys. I love Jalen Hurts, and I do think Jalen Hurts is going to have a better year statistically because the offensive line should be better. The receivers are a whole lot better. And I think the coach is going to be better with a year under his belt. I mean, he proved as the season went on that he knows what he's doing, in my opinion. And so I think Jalen's going to have a pretty good year. But that being said, I would still take Joe Burrow over both those guys. And, it's debatable whether or not Joe should be in the top 4. But I definitely would put Joe Burrow number 5. His offensive line should be better. He still has Jamar Chase. He's still got T. Higgins. He still has Tyler Boyd. Joe Burrow would be my next pick after those first 4 guys we mentioned.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. I definitely over Kyler Murray. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a true weapon this year. I think he showed last year. I think he showed what he showed last year. Like you and I talked during the season, he's a 60-minute player. He's the kind of guy who can have a terrible first and second quarter and then light it up in the last 27 minutes of a game and lead you to victory. He's a true leader. Yep. And I think Philadelphia's going to like what they see there. Number 8, we talked about Brady. Number 9, Trey Lance. Are you kidding me? This guy jumping over everybody. We don't even know what he can do yet.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even named to be the starter until 2 days ago?
Yeah, 24 hours ago.
Yeah, 24 hours ago. So he wasn't even going to be the starter for the Niners, and now he's what, the number, what is he ranked? Number 9 fantasy option? I don't see that. I would take all those guys behind him.
He's ahead of Aaron Rodgers. He's ahead of Matt Stafford.
Well, that's another thing that I didn't want to bring up yet, but I think we need to bring up. Where is Matt Stafford and where is Aaron Rodgers? And why the hell are they not above Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts? I would take both those guys over them.
Yeah, they're not going to score touchdowns. Well, Aaron Rodgers will score a couple of touchdowns with his feet. Stafford, not so much. But Stafford could throw 50 touchdowns in his sleep.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. He won the Super Bowl in year 1 on a new team. He was still learning the offense, and he threw for almost 5,000 yards and 41 touchdowns. I mean, that he almost completed 70%, 67.2 completion percentage, 448.86 passing yards, and like I said, 41 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. He had that one streak where he had a couple of picks, but 41 and 17 is still a good ratio. And I would definitely take Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford ahead of a lot of those guys on that list.
Matt Stafford might be one of the best pure passers, right up there with a Dan Marino. Pure passing ability of the football.
Yeah.
There's no 2 ways about it. I don't get it. And plus, Dak Prescott, and Russell Wilson have shown, and Trey Lance has shown nothing. Where he's on, he should be way down on this list as a show me part of the list.
Even if he has success, his success is going to be predicated on the Niners running the football. I mean, think about it. When Jimmy G was the quarterback, they ran the football, and Jimmy G's a much better proven passer than Trey Lance is. And if he is going to even be good and have success this year, he's going to have to run the football. And by that, I mean hand it off.
Right.
I think they'll still run him some, but look at what they have behind him. If you take Jimmy G out of the equation, they got nothing. So they're not going to run Trey Lance 20 times a game. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So as far as a fantasy prediction goes, ranking him number 9, I think is an absolute joke.
It is a joke. We know two is about it. The tier 4 people, Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr. Kirk Cousins. Both of them, you know what they're going to put up. They're going to put up some good stats. Trevor Lawrence up here, and Tua and Justin Fields, maybe rushing the situation there.
Yeah, I think so. I love Justin Fields, and I think he's a tremendous quarterback, but he's got absolutely nothing around him. We've talked about it on this show a number of times. I think they're setting him up for failure in Chicago, just like they did Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he has no one to throw it to. Armstrong's really their only good running back, and the Cole Kmet, their tight end, is pretty decent, but their offensive line is still garbage. I just think this is going to be a rough year for Justin Fields, even though I really like him as a quarterback. But Tua, the jury's still out on him.
Yeah,
definitely. There is no more excuses. This is his 3rd season. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Jalen Waddle. He's got a really good tight end. He's got Teron Armstead as a left tackle now. The offensive line should be a lot better. The defense was pretty good last year. There's no excuses for Tua, but I'm not sure that I would put Justin Fields and Tua and Trevor Lawrence, all those 3 guys, ahead of Mac Jones, ahead of Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Matt Ryan. I don't see that at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now we're going there. That's where those guys are, down in tier 5, where they've got Daniel Jones at 19.
No.
A guy who we still don't know if he's going to be healthy. I mean, they say he's healthy, but this is Daniel Jones. Show me or get out of town year with the Giants. And the fact of the matter is, he's never gotten through a full season healthy. He ran the ball 22 miles an hour until he tripped over his own feet. But
God, will he ever live that down? I mean,
that's right up there with the butt fumble in New York.
It just personifies his career so far.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my God, look at him. This game has been kind of a nightmare, but here he goes. He's breaking out. Look at that speed. And then he trips over his own feet and falls to the turf. And then they don't even get a touchdown out of it. It's just like that's kind of what we've seen out of him so far since he came into the league. And it's a shame because I think he does show flashes.
He does, and hopefully, they can, resuscitate his career this year. As a Giant fan, that's what you got to hope for. I mean, I don't think they're as far away from being a competitive team. I'm not saying a playoff team, but a competitive team as people think they are. But he's going to be the main question mark to ask you to answer, him and Saquon Barkley. And I know a lot of people have given up on Saquon Barkley. I'm sick of people yelling, "See, never should have been picked second. Never should have been picked second." Okay, you know what? The guys that were picked behind him, I really didn't want anyways. So It's okay. It didn't work out. If he had been healthy for 5 years, you might have had Ezekiel Elliott-like stats up there, and nobody would be complaining. But as we all know, the worst part about a running back is it's not the first 5 years if they stay healthy. It's every year after that, waiting for him to fall off. So
right, and that's I think the reason people are upset about drafting him so high is that he hasn't even been healthy in his first couple of years.
Right.
What's he going to look like down the road? That I think is what why people are sour on him. But let's be honest. I mean, if he has a bust out year this year and goes for 1,400 yards and scores 10, 15 touchdowns, everybody in New York will love his ass. So all he's got to do is bounce back from that knee injury. And I think, as me and you talked about, he started to show signs towards the end of the year, like he was starting to look a little bit better with the knee. And it takes people, different amounts of time to recover from that injury. So I'm not giving up on him yet. No. If they could get somebody to block for his ass, he'd have a lot better chance of having success as a runner.
Yeah, and he also got to change his little, you can't dance behind the line of scrimmage in the pros. You see the hole, you go for the hole, you move the pile.
My question is, what hole, though? I mean,
yeah, I know, I agree with you.
Andrew Thomas has not been a great left tackle.
No, there's no two ways about it. The Giants' offensive line has been a big problem for them. But the fact of the matter is it's not going to get better dancing either. You might as well push yourself up there, get the 2 or 3 yards, and go get some positive yardage rather than getting trapped in the backfield and losing 2. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Is just
I agree, but they need to get somebody to block for him, and that offensive line, needs to improve significantly for everybody to have success, for the running back to have success, for the quarterback to have success. It starts up front, and I think we've seen that with some of these other teams. I mean, you look at the year that Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl. I mean, he had the protection. He managed to still get them there the year after, but once his offensive line went down, it was a different story, as we saw in that Super Bowl. So you got to keep these guys upright so they can throw it, and you got to open up some kind of hole if Saquon's going to make any yardage.
Yes, the old 12 inches of daylight. Give me something. I'm a little surprised Mac Jones is so low here. 20, down below Daniel Jones, first of all, below Tua. Which I can't really believe and abide by, and also below Trevor Lawrence. I think, and Justin Fields, because I mean he did show in his first year that he's a player. Maybe it's because of the stats that they think they're going to be running the ball a lot. Do you think why he's still so low?
I have no idea. This is a guy that threw for 3,800 yards and 22 touchdowns. I mean, the touchdowns weren't great, but let's be honest. Neither were the Patriots wide receivers. I mean, they have to get some production out of their wideouts, and that's not just about Mac Jones. That's about those guys stepping up. I think, the offense is a little bit sophisticated for some of these guys, and I think Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, maybe Parker even, if they can get those guys on the same page, they're going to have a lot better chance of Mac Jones getting more, fantasy points. But I mean, the guy threw for 3,800 yards in year one. That's pretty damn solid, in my opinion. I don't understand why he is down where he is, and I don't understand why Matt Ryan is so low. That's a head scratcher to me. I think with the running game the Colts are going to have, putting Matt Ryan at 26 is ridiculous.
Yeah, especially after the year he had last year with nothing around him in Atlanta. I mean, he kept Atlanta competitive in a lot of games. I thought Matt Ryan had a great year last year, considering what he had to work with. A young coach, and also the fact that his team was going on a rebuild. So yeah, he should be able to put up some very good stats this year. Jameis Winston, we know why he's low, is because he come back from an injury. Carson Wentz, because he's Carson Wentz. Jared Goff, because Jared Goff is Jared Goff, and he's in Detroit, and he doesn't have much around him. The guy who should look at this, you would hope would look at this list and be burning with fire and get his ass in gear, is Ryan Tannehill at 25.
Yeah, you would think. But they drafted a guy. I mean, they brought in Malik Willis, who a lot of people had rated as one of the a first-round pick just based on the fact that he was the quarterback, and some people had him rated as the best quarterback. So the Titans, I think, made a good move bringing Willis in. Do I think Malik Willis is ready to play right now? No. But I think it's a good move to draft him and bring somebody in to compete with Tannehill. I mean, think about Logan Woodside has been the only other quarterback on the roster for the last 2 seasons, and he hasn't taken a goddamn snap. No. So, I mean, it's time to move forward, and it's time for Ryan Tannehill to put up or shut up. And last year, what really blew me away was he wasn't that great. And the
No.
fact that they won 12 games with him at quarterback is astounding to me. He only threw for 3,700 yards, and he had 21 touchdowns versus 14 interceptions. Not a great ratio. And as we saw in that playoff game, not a great quarterback, in my opinion. And I understand why he is where he is.
Right, exactly. And in the bottom of it, it's predictable. Davis Mills ahead of Baker Mayfield, and Deshaun Watson. I understand is down there because they don't know if he's going to be playing at all. Baker Mayfield, I would put him above Davis Mills. I think that's kind of a slap in the face to Baker. I mean, Davis Mills has done nothing yet. At least Baker's shown he can get. I mean, I don't know what Baker did. He must have he did something to the press around here, because I've never seen a guy who's never done anything really wrong get abused like he does. But I guess,
yeah, I mean, you call riding a roller coaster. I mean, this is a guy who was at the top of the damn heap 2 years ago, and now no one wants to even throw their trash on him. I don't really get it either. He's on every commercial. Everybody loved him. He was the hero in Cleveland, and then they couldn't get him out of town fast enough. It really shocked me, and I hope he has a great bounce back year, and I think he will, because I think he's a guy that is proven before that he can do it, and he's a guy that can take that chip on his shoulder and make it work for him. The one thing that I had a question for you about was number 21, Zach Wilson. Why is Zach Wilson ahead of Matt Ryan? Why is Zach Wilson ahead of Ryan Tannehill? Why is Zach Wilson ahead of Jameis Winston? What the hell is Zach Wilson shown anybody to make him be the 21st rated quarterback in this fantasy poll? I haven't seen anything out of him yet that leads me to believe that he's going to tear it up NFL record wise or in the fantasy realm.
I think it's a byproduct of everybody. I told you around here, I cannot believe the amount of people. I know that the Jet fans are desperate. I know Jet fans have been waiting forever to become relevant and have a chance, and since Parcells left, to really have a chance at a Super Bowl. But I mean, they are building themselves up for a great loss this year. You and I've talked about it with you a couple weeks ago. I look at their schedule and I see them being 2-8. And if they're 2-8, I don't know what kind of stats he's going to come out with.
Well, and you look at his stats from last year. He is down below Sam Darnold. He's below Daniel Jones. This guy only threw for 2,300 yards. He had 9 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. His completion percentage was 55%. He never had a quarterback rating over 80 in a game. So I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, this is a guy that hopefully will take the next step forward and will hopefully, get better and that the Jets will be better. But I'm just not buying it just yet from Zach Wilson. And I need to see something. This was the whole thing with Sam Darnold in New York. I needed to see something to believe it. And I haven't seen anything yet from Zach Wilson.
Yeah, the Jets are kind of the media darlings up here, and I'm not trying to just become a Giant fan. When the Giants are good, they get the acclaim they need, and they are the top team in town. They get first, but there is a undercurrent towards the Jets, especially among the media, where they bought into Rex Ryan. They loved Rex Ryan, and anybody who watched Rex Ryan knew he was full of crap. I mean, he was a good defensive coach, but he didn't want to be the head coach. He wanted the position, but he had no interest in offense or special teams or anything else. So I mean, they bought it all as we're going to the Super Bowl or bust crap, and maybe that's where maybe this guy is a New York area guy who wrote this article, but I don't see Zach Wilson. The one thing we do know is he knows how to get his mother's best friend in bed.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's better than he did on the field. He's certainly performing a lot better off the field than he is on.
Yeah, he scored well.
If you look at his mom's friend and his girlfriend, I mean, that girlfriend was hot. So to cheat on her must mean that you've got some options. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and the mom's friend must have been really hot. All right, let's move on. Let's look at this list of breakout guys. I saw a few of them. Will look into it. I mean, um, you'll have a better view of this than me on this because uh, you look at the films more on these guys in this, and we'll start out Cam Akers. I don't know if I'd call him a breakout. I mean, I think he's well respected all around the league and with the Rams. So, would you call him a breakout or is he kind of a comeback?
Yeah, not a breakout at all. I mean, this guy is a third-year player who, tore his Achilles last year. So it's not like he's, breaking out of anything. He's just coming back from injury. And he already proved last year at the end of the season that he's back and that he's healthy. And, he helped the team win a Super Bowl. So I don't expect him to have a breakout year. I expect him to build on what he's already done. And this is a guy that was an excellent high school player in Mississippi, had a great career at Florida State, and then has played well whenever he's been healthy in Los Angeles. And I expect that to continue. I don't really look at him as a breakout player. I look at him as a guy that's going to be very impactful to his team because he's going to be healthy and because the Rams like to run the football. But I don't look at him as a breakout guy for this year. Not at all.
All right, number 2, Alex Highsmith, outside linebacker, Pittsburgh. T.J. Watt on the other side gets a lot of the attention. What's your opinion of Alex Highsmith?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen enough out of him yet to truly believe he's going to be that next great pass rusher for Pittsburgh. I think, last year being able to get 6 sacks was kind of because all the protection was rolled towards TJ Watt's side. The thing is that they can run protection towards TJ Watt all they want. They're still not going to stop him. That guy is absolutely a game wrecker, and he needs somebody on the other side to help him. I'm just not sure if Alex Highsmith is that guy. He needs to have a breakout guy. I'm just not 100% sold that he's going to do it.
Yeah, I think they're always looking for the Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd combination they had way back when those two guys were just like unstoppable on the outside.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, I like him as a linebacker. He had 74 tackles, but he had 6 sacks, and 6 sacks is not great. And if you can't get more than 6 sacks with the guy on the other side who's getting 22 of them, when the hell are you going to do it? So I'm just not sure that I'm ready to, bill him as that next great pass rusher in Pittsburgh. I think he's a good player, and I think he'll have a good season, but I don't think he's going to have 10, 15 sacks. I mean, if he gets 10, I think that'll be a really good year for him. But I'm not really expecting more than that.
All right, next they got Javon Holland of Miami Dolphins, free safety. The one thing I would be really cautious about, yes, he had a good year last year, but was it because of the way Miami played defense? They had that gambling type defense. They came up to the line of scrimmage, got in your face, did a lot of stuff. Is the defensive coordinator this year going to give him the opportunities to do what he did last year?
Well, yeah, not only that, but think about who the Dolphins have, back there. I mean, they have one of the best defensive backfields. Xavier Howard is a guy that's had over, 10 interceptions the last 2 seasons in a row. They've also got Byron Jones, who, they brought over from Dallas, who's expected to do big things. And they did have a great defense last year. So, I think this guy is good. But I'm not so sure I'm ready to call him a breakout player. It's not like he was in the Pro Bowl or anything last year. He did well. I mean, he had 69 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 2 picks as a rookie. He also had 3 fumble recoveries, but it's 1 year, and I need to see more out of him before I start, voting him into the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, like I said, and two, is it the defense they were playing that gave them the opportunities to shine? You never know. Next, we got Jerry Jeudy, Alabama guy. Hasn't had the breakout year yet, but we got Russell Wilson throwing the ball to him this year. And if he stays healthy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing with him. He hasn't managed to stay healthy, throughout his career so far in the NFL. I mean, he definitely has a good quarterback. If ever he was going to be a breakout player, I think this is the year. Do I think he's going to do it? I'm not sure, but I think that this list is a good spot for him because he better break out or else
He's a bust.
he's going to be labeled a bust. So I think this is a huge year for him. If you think about that team, that had Henry Ruggs and had Jerry Jeudy and had Devontae Smith. A lot of people thought Jeudy was the best receiver out of all those guys, and Henry Ruggs is in jail just about, and Judy's struggled with injuries. So this better be a breakout year for him, or else they might be getting ready to move on. And speaking of wide receivers, we've got some breaking news while we're on the broadcast. I don't know, somebody just sent me a message on Twitter. Mr. Metcalf just got paid $72 million extension with the Seahawks for DK Metcalf. $30 million signing bonus. $30 million signing bonus, the highest ever for a receiver, and a 3-year extension worth $72 million in total money.
If you only had a quarterback.
Yeah, once again, why? This is another dude that I think just needs to get better. He needs to work hard. He's got all the tools. He's got the speed. He's got the body. He's got the hands. He can do it all. But at times last year, he just seemed to disappear, in my opinion. And I probably would have made him earn this contract by doing something, without Russ there. Let's see what he looks like without Russ. This may not be a good move for the Seahawks, in my opinion.
No, I think they're going to regret it. But then again, he's been barking that he's going to leave or wanting trades and stuff. The worst thing is when they traded Russ and didn't have a plan behind him, they're going to look back on this and just not understand how stupid a move that was. Yeah, Russell Wilson might have wanted to get out of town, but you had to have a plan, and they showed they had no plan.
I agree. I mean, I don't really have a problem with them, changing gears, shipping him off. If they drafted somebody that they liked, or if they traded for somebody that they liked, but all they did was pick up Denver's trash that they didn't want anymore, and then acted like Geno was something that he's not. Geno's not a starter, and Drew Lock has proved that he's not a starter. So now they're going to go into the season with a overpaid wide receiver and no quarterback. Good luck.
Who's going to be? He may be getting all the money in the world, but he's going to be bitching half the year when the ball's not even getting close to him.
Yeah, wait till game 4 when they're 1-3,
and he has 12 catches.
Yeah, and he's got 12 catches for 94 yards and no touchdowns.
Right.
He's going to be pissed off.
Next, we go over to the Ravens. Odafe, I can't pronounce this guy's name.
Owe. Owe, from Penn State. I got to be honest, I wasn't really sure what to expect out of him from Penn State because he kind of had the body and had the measurables, but never really did a whole lot at Penn State. But towards the end of the year, I saw some things out of him that I really liked. 33 tackles, 5 sacks as a rookie. He forced 3 fumbles. That to me proved that he's got a chance of being that next great Ravens pass rusher. I mean, just think of the guys the Ravens have developed in their system. I mean, Terrell Suggs, Matt Judon. I mean, guys that are on Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith. Guys that have really blossomed either on the Ravens or when they've left. This is a place where pass rushers are groomed, and this guy may be the next one. I think he's good to be on this list.
All right. Jalen Phillips, outside linebacker of Miami, came out of UCLA, had an 8.5 sacks his first year. But again, we're looking at a Miami defense. Their coach is gone. And he played that gambling style of defense. Is he going to be able to keep it going or grow?
I think so. This is a guy that I think is just going to keep getting better. I mean, he was really figuring his way, learning his way out of the, into the NFL last year. He was a first-year guy, rookie, fighting for playing time. And once he kind of figured out what he was doing, the sky was the limit. 8.5 sacks for a rookie is unbelievable considering, he didn't even start at the beginning of the season. This is a guy that, had some pretty decent production at UCLA, moved in to Miami, transferred over there and took over the number 15 jersey after the guy that got drafted ahead of him, Gregory Rousseau, opted to sit out. And Jalen Phillips used that to his advantage and really tore it up for the U. And this is a guy that I'm super high on. I think 8.5 sacks is just the tip of the iceberg with him. If he stays healthy, I think he could be the next big-time pass rusher in Miami. I think you're talking about like a Jason Taylor type guy,
Wow.
10, 15 sacks. I'm really high on him. I think he's going to have a monster year.
That's big. That's big words right there. Then we go over to Philadelphia wide receiver Devonta Smith. Jalen Hurts and him, reuniting. 64 catches last year, 916 yards, 5 TDs. He's going to have A.J. Brown on the other side to maybe take away some double coverage. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I wasn't really high on him just because, he's 165 pounds, soaking wet and wearing boots. But, he impressed me towards the end of the year. He's not the greatest route runner. He's not the biggest guy, as I mentioned. So he's got some things going the other direction for him. But he did, produce, especially when the passing game wasn't, the forte of the Eagles last year. I think the passing game is going to be better this year. Like I said, the offensive line should be better. Having A.J. Brown on the opposite side is going to be huge. I mean, really, Devontae was the one option for Jalen. And having A.J. Brown on the other side, I think, is going to be good for him. I just don't know how much better his stats are going to be. I mean, I think, he might be better and have the same type of numbers because you're going to share balls with A.J. Brown. I mean, if you got to choose between the two of them, who the hell would you throw it to? The guy that's 6'4" or 6'3" and 220 pounds, or the guy that's 6 foot 170? I would throw it to A.J. Brown.
Yeah, for sure. Next we got Patrick Surtain, Denver Broncos. Nice year last year. The one thing about a cornerback like him, he could have a better year, but his stats won't look as good. It's just no one throws to his side of the field.
Very true. Very true. I mean, if he has 14 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, and a touchdown again this year, I mean, that would be tremendous. So I think you're right. He may be better this year and might have worse stats just because they don't throw it to him as much. But I think this guy is the real deal. He was my favorite corner coming out in the draft. He's just got everything. He's got the ball skills. He's got the body. He's got that hip motion. This is a dude that can get in and out of his breaks. I love this guy as a player, and I think he will just continue to get better. But whether or not he'll have better numbers or not, I don't know.
And then we go down to Tampa Bay linebacker. You're gonna have to pronounce his last name for me.
Tryon Shorinka.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. He better be good because they got rid of JPP and they're really counting on this guy. And to be honest, I don't know. I mean, he had 4 sacks, he had 29 tackles, but I'm not so sure that I'd be ready to just name this guy the starter. I would have probably brought somebody in and had somebody compete with him, but they're really high on him down there. And let's be honest, Todd Bowles knows what he's doing, so he must be good. But I'm kind of a wait and see approach on this dude until he does it. I don't know.
And then we got Tua. I mean, this is the Tua now. Everybody's like on the Tua bandwagon. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's going to have Jalen Waddle and Tariq Hill to throw to, plus Mike Gesicki. That alone, you would think his stats would go up. They point in this article here talking about Mike McDaniel. Talking about Mike McDaniel as an offensive brain or genius. Shanahan called the plays up there. Okay, he might have helped break down and come up with the game plan and everything, but that was Shanahan calling the offense. I don't know what his offense is going to be like. And they're talking this article about, the commitment to the run and the passing concepts that consistently get prime targets open. Yeah, but that was Mike Shanahan calling the plays.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sold on him. I mean, I'm really not. I was worried about him coming out of school with that hip injury that really kind of concerned me, and I wouldn't have drafted him that high. And then you're talking about a guy that couldn't beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then he gets into year 2, and he couldn't really beat out Jacoby Brissett. That to me spells trouble. I think he could go the other direction just as easily as he could go up. He could easily go down. And if he doesn't produce really quick, we could see Teddy Bridgewater out in the field, because that guy's proven that he can get it done, especially in short spurts. So I don't know. He's got a ton of pressure on him, and he hasn't really proven to me yet that he can do it. I mean, 2,600 yards last year, 16 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Yeah.
Not great numbers. And
I look in 1970.
Yeah. I mean, if this was 1983, we'd be talking about how great he is, but it's not. And like I said, he couldn't beat out Fitz, and then he couldn't beat out really Jacoby Brissett. I mean, we just kept seeing those two guys get inserted into games, and it wasn't always because Tua was hurt. So that concerns me, and I'm not so sure he breaks out. He might fall apart. We'll see. And this coach, I'm like you. I'm concerned about this coach. This guy's never been a head coach in his entire life. And I know that's the new thing in the NFL, is to hire these guys that have never been a head coach ever. That's like every team wants to do that now. I want that guy. He's been a coordinator for a year, and he's 34, and then he's the next up-and-comer. Well, it doesn't always work out. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm not sold on him yet either till I see him do it.
As they say, football is the greatest copycat league in the world, and what works for one team, everybody tries to copy. But it works until you find the guy that doesn't make it work, and this could be the guy that doesn't make it work. And they're in a tough division. Like I said, you've got the Bills, the prohibitive favorites to be in the Super Bowl. That's 2 games. You got the New England Patriots, who the Dolphins had their number. Will they still have their number? If they don't have their number, it's going to look pretty bad with letting that coach go, because he did have Belichick's number. At least that gave you something to hope for. But
I'm not so sure this guy's an upgrade over Brian Flores.
No,
I mean, I'm really not so sure he is. I mean, Flores, proved to me the year before that he was a pretty good coach, and then last year I know things started off horribly, but they rattled off 7 wins in a row. And that was pretty impressive to me. Or was it 8? Was it 7 or 8 wins in a row? Regardless, that to me showed resilience and showed faith in their coach, that they didn't quit and they never gave up, even though they started off just as bad as you could possibly start off. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of pressure on Miami right now, and a lot of pressure on this quarterback to produce, and this coach better do well too, or else that lawsuit's going to make a lot more sense.
I'll tell you one thing. I was bringing that up as a good, because I was just about to say, usually it's a bad situation when you bring a lawsuit, especially in a place like the NFL or Major League Baseball or the NBA. You bring those lawsuits, it means you're pretty much giving up your career. But I hope people can look back past this and understand he got treated royally bad down in Miami. There was no reason to fire that kid, and he deserves another chance to be an NFL head coach somewhere. And I mean, if he doesn't get another chance, then there is really something wrong with this world.
I agree. Now he has been hired
With Pittsburgh.
Yeah, with Pittsburgh on Mike Tomlin's staff. So I think he'll get another opportunity. And I feel bad for him, honestly, because I feel like he felt like he had to do this once he got fired. And, I honestly believe that if he hadn't done it, he may have gotten one of those jobs that was available. I think he was in the running for a lot of them. But once the lawsuit came out, everybody's like, I don't want to touch that. You know what I'm saying?
I respect the hell out of the guy, but you can't tell me at this stage that the Texans are better off with a 70-year-old Lovie Smith over a 38-year-old Brian Flores, 40-year-old Brian Flores, who's already shown that he can get a bad team to compete in this league, and on top of it all, knows what's going on in this league. Lovie Smith hasn't been coaching in this league for the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, he coached it he was on the staff at Houston, but I don't know, I really don't know if the lawsuit wasn't filed, would they have hired Lovey over Flores? I mean, I don't think so. I think your point is well taken. I think he would have definitely been the number one guy for that job, and he may have been, hired in New Orleans or potentially in Chicago. I think Chicago really wanted to hire him until the lawsuit was filed, and then it just kind of made it hard to do it. But I do feel bad for him, and I think it's funny how no one's really talking about his lawsuit, and no one's really talking about John Gruden's lawsuit. But I think both those lawsuits have tremendous merit based on the facts of the case.
Yeah, and we'll see. The whole thing is, better than I am because have been in the law game. The NFL has a lot of money and a lot of money that can stretch these lawsuits out and out and out until people run out of money to go against them. So that's the whole thing.
Well, they're already paying the media not to report on them. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not hearing anything about it. I mean, John Gruden won all of his motions. He had 6 or 7 motions in that hearing. That was 2 months ago, and there was like one article that I found about it where he had won every single one of the motions that was on the table, and nobody even reported on it. So I mean, having money helps, but you also have to have some facts to back your case.
The word journalism doesn't belong in our society anymore because it doesn't exist. No. I mean, I was watching, not to get off the subject, but I was watching the Mets Yankee game last night, and Domingo Germán, who's the pitcher for the Yankees, has missed the last 2 years. One of it because he was suspended for a year for domestic violence. But according to the announcers on the broadcast, including one who works for the Yankees, it's because of arm problems.
Okay.
At least give the truth. Just give the truth. We all know it. It's been in the papers.
No, truth has no place in the media anymore.
All you had to say was he had an arm problem, but he was suspended for a year. He's back from his suspension. You don't have to get into the whole story or get into a big speech on domestic violence and stuff. But all you do is at least don't make me feel like that I'm stupid by saying it was arm problems for 2 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So anyways, we're at the end of the show. What do we got coming up on Man Coverage?
Man Coverage Sunday. We got a special time this weekend. We're going to be airing at 11 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to be doing an SEC preview this week. We're going to be breaking down the big boys of the SEC: Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee. We're going to
Oklahoma, Texas.
Early. They're not there yet. But we will have the voice of the Vols, Mr. John Wilkerson, on the show. He has been covering Tennessee football for 29 years. He's got the best show on radio here in 99.1, The Fan, WNML. He's been on the air for, like I said, 29 years. He's got the John and Jimmy show from 3 to 7, prime time every day. We're going to have him on the air. He'll be coming on around 11:30 to give us his takes and his picks for the SEC in 2022.
All right. Everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. We will be back next week at the same time on Thursday night. Stay safe, stay cool, and we'll be back in a week.
Have a good one, buddy. Talk to you real soon.
Bye.